In this talk, I will talk about green buildings, to understand, measure and design buildings to become more green. Why should we make buildings more green or sustainable? First of all, half of our carbon footprint is caused by buildings. Secondly, half of our natural resource extraction from the planet is meant for buildings. And third, half of our pollution going to landfill comes actually from buildings. And if you look at the carbon footprint caused by buildings, half of that is from construction and half of it is from usage. So at any aspect, buildings are big polluting and need to become more sustainable and green. Are green buildings more expensive than conventional buildings? Not really. They do cost around 5% extra in the construction phase. However, over the lifetime of the building, you can save a lot of money as they can save a lot of energy, water, and waste output. What is green design? It seeks to minimize the negative environmental impact of buildings by enhancing efficiency and moderation in the use of materials, energy, and development space. The idea of sustainability or ecological design is to ensure that our actions and decisions today do not inhibit the opportunities for future generations. The term can be used to describe an energy and ecologically conscious approach to the design of the built environment. More definitions of green buildings, as you can read on this slide. With some understanding of the definition of green buildings, the next question we should ask ourselves is, how do we measure the successfulness of a green building? The sustainability performance of a building depends on all the materials that go into the building, the lifespan of the building, and how much energy and other resources it uses during the operation time of the building, as well as the waste it makes at the end of its life. One approach to measure green design is a lifecycle assessment, which is a technique to assess environmental impacts associated with all the stages of a product's life from cradle to grave. For example, from raw material extraction through material processing, manufacture, distribution, use, repair and maintenance, and disposal or recycling. Lifecycle assessments can help to avoid a narrow outlook on environmental concerns by compiling an inventory of relevant energy and material inputs and environmental releases, evaluating the potential impact associated with identified inputs and releases, and interpreting the results to help make a more informed decision. You may say a life cycle assessment may have 9 stages, and ideally the last stage will become the first stage for the next building. A life cycle assessment can be quite a complex process, as this diagram indicates. You can make a life cycle assessment of all building materials and components in your building, with a lot of complications to that. There are databases of impact of each material, but they are highly dependent from where they come from and where you're building your building. A lot of personal interpretations you make in calculating this. The lifespan of a building is impossible to predict, just as any other future changes, and often for a life cycle assessment there are incomplete data. A more simplified version to measure how green your building is are green building certificate systems. A more simplified version of calculating how green your building is follow the structure of a green building certificate. Around the world there are many certificate systems available. They all are based on a life cycle assessment approach, but more simplified, as well as they take into account different types of dimensions, which in each category you can score a certain amount of points. And the more points you get, the more green your building is. Examples are BREEAM, LEED, and EU, EEWH, which stands for Ecology, Energy Saving, Waste Reduction and Health. These 4 main categories are subdivided in 9 subcategories. In the next video we will discuss all the subcategories step by step and explain and walk you through how to score points in every category and which elements in your design of your green building have influence on the score of your EEWH Green Building Certificate.